Hello, everybody. My name is Taylor Ash. I'm joined here with Patrick Ferries from Broadlume. Patrick, how you doing?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
Doing very well, thanks. So, as everyone knows, we recently announced three key events for Broadlume this year. One of which, and the first of which, actually being the Business Management Software Workshop, which we're going to talk about today. The second one is Jason Goldberg's Boot Camp, which is coming up in June in Indianapolis. This is a very good event that people just rave about after they attend. And then, of course, FloorCon 23, we announced this last week. It's going to be in beautiful Amelia Island, Florida. We're excited for that. You can find more info on our website. But today we're going to be talking about the business management workshop that's coming up. Really excited about it. I know we haven't done one for a couple of years because of the pandemic and just different things. And I believe, Patrick, this is the first one since the Broadlume acquisition of Rollmaster. Is that correct?
That is correct. I'm excited to get back in the swing of things. We're doing this in Seattle at the Crown Plaza downtown. So it's a hotel we've been to many times. It's a great location. Things are very walkable from there. And May 23rd to 25th are the dates. They're on our website, but it's definitely one of my favorite venues that we keep going back to over the years.
Okay, cool. I know when I was with Express Flooring, we attended it every year and always came back. We brought a whole team and we always came back with really cool, not even just new stuff, but we went and kind of found stuff we didn't know we were looking for and ways to implement it to help our business. So it was great. So let's talk about this. I get a lot of questions like, what is a workshop? What are people going to get? Like, is it just a bunch of speakers and sales pitches? Is it a conference? Like, what is it?
So when I use the term workshop, I think, hey, bring your laptop. We're going to be working together. So it's very much set up in a classroom format where you're expected to take notes, follow along, and it's very hands-on. And part of this formatting, we have the first day where everybody's in one room together. So we cover really higher level topics or broad topics that truly apply to everybody. Then we go into breakout rooms, which is small groups, which really facilitates more conversation, not just with the instructor, but with each other. So think of it as very much a working group of people working together on their system and their business.
So we're actually going to be the retailers that come, they'll be in their system applying what they're seeing or what they're learning in real time and be able to apply it to their situation.
Absolutely. And then there will be a lot of staff members there to ask questions as they come up or even come over to your computer and help you with something. And then one thing I'll correct you on though is retailers will be a good half of the room, but we'll have some large property management dealers, distributors, people that have builder focus. So part of doing those breakout sessions is so we can have some deep dives in certain areas that it's not just about retail.
Gotcha. So to expand on that a little bit, I mean, kind of what's on the agenda? Like, yes, there's classroom settings, things like that. I know the full agenda isn't released yet, but can you give us a little bit of insight into, what somebody might expect?
So we always want to keep you abreast of new products and integrations like the new sample pricing program coming out, retail lead management deep dive, measure square deep dive. So there's very focused classes on those products. But when you think about the core system, some of the heaviest attended classes are deep dives into inventory procedures, as well as catalog and catalog cleanup and restructuring. So it's not just teaching you like the buttons of a module, it's actually teaching you procedures and best practices within that area as well. So that's where it really differs than just, an online training session learning how to do an inventory.
Gotcha.
A couple
So
other classes, sorry to interrupt, a couple other classes I forgot to mention. We do some Excel classes because people find leveraging their data that can be really helpful to know some basic tips and tricks. And then last workshop, this happened kind of impromptu. So we formalized it for this one. The last day, which is Thursday, we do more of a roundtable format where dealers that wish to participate will actually review your numbers and pick them apart and look at your work in progress, your margins, voluntarily, of course. But that facilitated some of the best conversations and dialogue amongst attendees that I've ever seen. So those are
awesome.
some featured classes as well.
Very cool. So we talked a little bit about the types of operations. I won't say stores because I know there's other operations that come. What about from Broadloom? I mean, are you coming? Are you going to be doing everything? Like, what type of people from the Broadloom team are going to be coming?
I will be there myself and I'll be teaching some classes, but I don't think you really want to hear me drone on for 3 days. So to mix it up a little bit, we'll also have Dan D'Amato teaching estimating classes. Brandon Pindell will have a few classes assigned to him. We'll have a accounting person teaching heavy general ledger, month-end close things. So there'll be an accounting expert there. And then we may even bring a marketing person out to talk like website, search engine optimization, and things like that that are all part of your business. And even if they're just adjacent to your ERP system.
Very cool. So we've talked about a lot of stuff as far as what's going to be covered. Let me ask you kind of a tough question. Why wouldn't I just pay somebody to come to me and do an on-site training with my team instead of spending this money on going to Seattle?
That's a good question. I get that a lot, and it's a lot of intangibles. So it can be a little tough to answer, but I can say a few things for certain. The networking that happens there is huge, and talking to other dealers, not just hearing practices from a Broadlume ERP trainer, but hearing practices from other dealers and how they've handled situations is invaluable. Then additionally, when we come on site to a dealer, they say, hey, I need to learn X, Y, Z. And we teach you X, Y, and Z. But when you go to the workshop, you're actually forced to learn things in the system you didn't even know to ask the questions. So you learn things you didn't even know the question to ask, but it solves other problems you have in your business. So it's really hard to define what I'm saying there, but you will learn things you didn't expect. And then last thing I'll say, I've never in all the years of doing this had somebody after a workshop say they didn't feel like they got a good value or didn't feel like it was worth it. Usually the common things I hear is, wow, that one thing I learned is making this whole workshop worth it. And then I hear that from the same person 4 or 5 times throughout the week. So it's an immense value, and it's hard to totally put your finger on exactly what it is, but everybody walks away happy.
Awesome. No, that's great. So we've talked a little bit about kind of what we're going to go over, what's going to be covered in the agenda, who's coming, the types of operations. But say, I'll just not pick on retailers, but I'll pick on retailers for a second. Say I'm a retail operation, not huge, independent. Who on my team should come? Like, should the owner come? Should the RSAs come? Like, who should come to this?
I definitely really like owners and managers because they should have the broad view over the entire business to decide what applies. And that's true with any size company. You want somebody to come that maybe it doesn't all pertain to their job, but they're the type of person that's going to make notes and bring it back and implement it and carry it forward to the person that needs to know that information. And when you think small business, that's usually owners and managers. Now, when you think about a retail sales rep, they would be best to come if they need deep dives on retail lead management and Measure Square. That would be most applicable to the sales reps. And there'll be certain things in the rest of the classes that have to do with them, but mostly it's owners, managers, accounting managers, sales managers, all those that have some power to make an impact on the business and make changes.
Gotcha. So that's a lot of info we covered. A couple other questions, and we sent an email out last week, and I've been getting some responses from that so far. But a couple of the big questions. One, what is all included in the fee that we're charging?
So the city selection for these workshops may have something to do with food and beverage. We tend to go to cities that have good food, and included with the stay and with the workshop is we're providing meals while you're there because we don't want you running off to find a restaurant and all that. So we need you there so we can get back to class and back to education. So there's food, beverage breaks throughout the day, each day of all 3 days, and then usually Tuesday night we take everybody out for a dinner as well.
Awesome. So there's early bird pricing. That happens, I think it's open now. It is open now. We've already
When
actually
does that expire, Taylor?
April 7th.
Okay, cool.
So it's coming up. Can you tell me a little bit about the pricing structure and what the early bird pricing is?
Yeah, so the normal ticket rate is $950. As we mentioned, includes a lot of food. That's one reason. Early bird, you get that for $750. And then if you're sending groups of 3 or more, it's $700 a person.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a pretty good deal. I think, like I said, at Express, we always brought teams, so I would definitely encourage that. And I think one of the reasons for that is, say you go through a class, well, you want this person in this classroom and this person in this classroom. And then, in the evenings, you guys are kind of debriefing each other and sharing what you went over while it's fresh in your minds, instead of having to wait till you get back home after the travel and a whole nother weekend's probably happened before you're back in the store. So I think it's really good to have teams there just so you can actually kind of network amongst yourselves as well, and really talk about what you learned while it's still fresh.
That's a good point. Anytime you have the opportunity to have two or more people there, that'll allow you to divide and conquer on some of the content in the breakout rooms. And then, like you mentioned, talk to each other, but then also your networking power with other dealers. So anytime if it permits to bring two people, it's going to be a benefit.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, Patrick. There's going to be a little bit more information coming out in the future, so keep an eye on your emails. If you haven't seen our first email with all the registration links, you can, if this video is in an email, you can click them here. If not, just search back from the email last week. But there'll be more information coming out. Any last thoughts, Patrick, that we should cover?
Just that I'm excited to be there. Like you mentioned earlier, it's been a couple years, so we weren't able to squeeze one in last year with everything going on with the acquisition being so fresh. So I'm really excited to get back to it and seeing coworkers and clients all the same.
Absolutely. I'm very excited too. And you know this, Patrick. I lived in Seattle for about 5 years. I'm in Arizona now, but I love the city. It's beautiful. And where we're staying at the Crown Plaza is it's an amazing, amazing hotel and event center. So very excited. Well, thank you again. More info coming, but we hope to see you guys in Seattle.
All right. Thank you.